Good morning. Welcome to our recap of yesterday. Well, this recap is kind of going to be Thursday through Saturday.
It's a big one.
Because it was a chunk. So Thursday we left around 10 p.m. I took first shift.
Yeah, she drove like a champ too. She was so tired.
I was awful. I drove to Moses Lake.
Kept waking up every few minutes saying, "Hey, are you okay?"
Well, you did it first, and then you were out.
I was out.
And then
I slept really well. Yeah. Good. Then I took over in Moses Lake.
And then
it's just like Haley's like, "You want to take over?" I was like, "Yeah." She's like, "Okay, you're taking over right now."
I was getting a little too sleepy.
Yeah, so I took over with the nap, and then I had an energy. We pulled over and swapped at a gas station, so I went and grabbed an energy drink. And I haven't been drinking caffeine lately, so that caffeine had a much bigger impact on me. So I was just good to go and like pulled in. Haley slept until we pulled into the airport.
To Park and Jet.
Yeah, go fast. She kept asking me every 3 minutes, "Are you okay? You doing all right? You okay?" Every 3 minutes. It even became a joke because she'd wake up and said, "Has it been 3 minutes?"
I don't remember this. So,
and like I would literally point to the clock and said, "Oh, this time it was 4 minutes." But she did that for probably a half hour. She did it a bunch, and then she was just gone.
Yeah, that's about what you did.
Yeah,
Which was crazy. I was like, I can't remember the last time I fell asleep and then woke up and was somewhere else in a car.
Yeah.
Normally I wake up in the off ramp.
Yeah, the slowing down always wakes when I'm driven her in the past. It's that slowing down and then coming to the eventual stop, but the off ramp that wakes her up every time. But this time, I was surprised. We even came to a complete stop. I waited for a car, and I was like, "You okay?"
I was very tired.
And then we turned. I was literally pulling up, and there's a little parking spot because we got there a little early.
So we arrived at Park and Jet around 3 a.m. And technically our reservation wasn't until 4:30, but when you make your reservation, you're basically paying for the full day anyway. So we waited in the car. He took a little nap, and then at 3:45, we ate our Krispy Kreme donuts that we brought with us. And then we went into Park and Jet.
It was a little heavy eating 3 donuts. It was like...
They're Krispy Kremes. They're made of air. So the ride to the airport was uneventful. There were two other groups. Oh, the
driver you could tell he had symptoms of like long COVID.
Yeah.
Or he had just recovered because he was
hacking up a lung.
He could barely breathe, and he was out of breath when he was loading the bags and stuff. I felt so bad for him. I was like, "Dude, I can do it." But he was trooping through, and I felt bad for him.
Check-in was super easy. They let us check our bag all the way to Heathrow, which was very nice considering there were 2 separate flights.
And she even prioritized them.
Yeah. Well, she prioritized them because we were economy plus on them.
Oh, I thought she prioritized them because she's like, "Oh."
No, that would have been nice.
It's a complicated deal.
Our flight to Chicago was pretty uneventful.
Bumpy.
Oh, there were bumps, but only as we were getting into Chicago. Yeah, Spokane to Chicago, pretty boring, uneventful flight. Except for coming into Chicago.
Economy or the Premier Plus on that food, and we just didn't get it, or is that?
No, on that flight they have Economy Plus, but they don't get any special perks. That's why we didn't do Economy Plus for that.
Do they get drinks at least? Because they didn't even offer us drinks.
They did. He was asleep. No, I had orange juice.
Oh. I thought they even ordered.
I offered you the rest of it. You just kind of grunted at me. Yeah, something like that. So then we landed in Chicago. We went over. Someone got Dunkin'. I got Dunkin' too, but I just got a chai. He got his iced matcha latte.
So, I think it's not just because it's Dunkin'. It's because I've never been to a place where you can get 40 ounces or whatever of matcha. Where else are you gonna get that much matcha? And it's cheap, and it's probably not really matcha.
I think we know for $6 it's not real matcha.
I don't care. It tastes decent, and it's a big drink, and I love my big drinks.
Yeah. So we had to go to a separate terminal for that. Got to show them the
We were the only terminal in the entire airport that didn't have a Dunkin'. We had to walk. Chicago is big.
Yeah, it's a chunky airport.
We have to go underneath and through this disorientation. Just the door.
But you got to see the dinosaur.
Yeah.
You got to see that bomber plane.
The F4F Wildcat.
Bomber plane that Mr. O'Hare flew.
It was I think they're a torpedo bomber. This one specifically was a training one that had crashed into Lake Michigan, or rather sunk gently, and they found it. It was mostly intact at the bottom of the seafloor or the lake floor. So.
Then we went back to the gate, got McDonald's.
Oh, yeah.
Just nuggets, something.
Yeah, that McDonald's was busy. They had.
Oh, it's an airport McDonald's.
I think their order volume was insane because normally with a fast food, the cashier slows down the process, and so like but when people are like jamming on that touchscreen, they can go so fast. And so I did it, and it was not that long. They had a person literally just doing fries and nuggets. That's their whole. They were just standing at the fryer, put some more fries down, put some more nuggets, put some more fries down, put some more nuggets. Like that was all they were doing.
I guess
I'm sure they were doing other fryer tasks, but it was mostly just fries and nuggets. I was watching this guy this whole time I was waiting.
So we ate our McDonald's, and then I made him stand in line very early, but we were the second people in line, so it wasn't just me. During this time, I was also freaking out because when they checked our baggage from Seattle, from Seattle to Chicago, they had done that thing where we could check it through, but how we had done our tickets was different because we had two separate flights. So the bag said, oh, they were rerouted in Chicago, so I was freaking out.
The system didn't recognize the transfer
because they're two separate tickets. But I was watching it on the air tags, and then they weren't moving.
And they were like, the GPS said they were like
at two different terminals.
Well, not two different. It was two
No,
different
at the
gates.
end,
It was at the gate, another gate on the same terminal, but it was far from the plane.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh no, they're not gonna make it. And then once we started moving and got in the plane, it felt like they loaded them at the last moment.
They did.
And then
but they loaded them.
Maybe they have to load them at the end to weight balance it.
Well, it's also because we were priority because we were one of the first bags off the plane.
Wow.
So, the flight.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
They load them last.
The flight from Chicago to London.
Bumpy getting out of Chicago.
Yeah, Chicago. They had said that the flights might be canceled because of the thunderstorms.
Was it the Spokane to Chicago one where they had a trainee?
Yeah, on the not Spokane. We flew out of Seattle.
Sorry.
On the Seattle to Chicago flight, so the pilot comes on like 15 minutes before we start landing, and he's like, "Hey, so just so you know, there's these really bad thunderstorms. So there's going to be a lot of turbulence. Also, my first officer is in training, and he has to show that he can stop on a dime. So we're going to deal with the bumpiness from the turbulence, and we're going to be landing at the shortest runway in Chicago." And the whole flight was just like, Jesus Christ.
Well, he had worked for a previous airline.
How did you know that?
He mentioned it.
I didn't hear that part.
Yeah, he mentioned it. He was like, he comes from us from a different airline, so he has flight experience. He just has to do a checkout for this flight or this company, so I'm sure he's done it. But
I don't know. He did fine though. There was a little bump when we landed.
He was thunk. Yeah, it came down pretty hard. He probably was just deciding, okay, we're gonna put it down right now. But
it wasn't bad though.
He did take a little bit time to put on the reverse thrusters, which maybe we would have stopped faster, but whatever. I'm not about it.
So the Chicago to London flight, we were in Economy Plus, and we were in the very front, so we had endless leg room.
Oh, so nice.
Yeah, that was super nice, especially after we had been so squished on the Seattle to Chicago. I don't like flying economy as a chubbier person.
Oh, my knees. I'm not even that tall.
Well, they're not meant to be comfortable, but the Economy Plus is. Except for we had this guy who would not stop sneezing and coughing.
Oh my God,
if we catch COVID on this trip, it's going to be from the dude that sat behind us on the flight.
He was Ebenezer Sneezer. Like, he was
like,
grumpy and sneezed
and
15 times in a row every time he sneezed. And then 5 minutes later, he would do it again. And it wasn't like, achoo, achoo. It was like, achoo.
Like he wasn't covering his mouth either.
Yeah, it was like a grumpy
so it was all over
sneeze,
the back
too.
of my head.
I'm like, oh.
And so
he was like covered in like, he was like little, like tiny old man, and he had like 5 coats on. Like, it was like, either you have a fever or you're just a tiny old man. And he like, every time I got up to like, because I had the switch and stuff, and I'd put it away, and
he grabbed like the blankets out
and stuff. Every time I got up, he would like grumpily stare at me while I was putting stuff in and out of the overhead luggage. Like,
they also had their lights on the whole time. I thought that was interesting. They didn't sleep.
Yeah, they were out. They watched a video on his screen together.
Oh. That's interesting.
Yeah, he had the headphones. She didn't wear headphones.
I mean, it came with headphones.
I know, but like, if they're watching on his screen, they both need headphones.
We sat down, we waited, we had dinner, which we got It was something flan.
It was short ribs or flan and salmon
It,
and
it had a special name, the flan. It was good though.
mushrooms.
Yeah, but that wasn't in the title.
Yeah, but it had mushroom. It was a vegetarian option.
Flan croquette. That's what it was.
Yeah.
Which
And
really just tasted kind of like a tiny omelet. But there was that little thing of gravy, and the gravy on the mushrooms was delicious.
Mushrooms were, I don't know what kind of mushrooms.
I don't know. It also came with a salad that had salmon on top and smoked salmon, so not a fan.
She was not. Smoked salmon by itself. That smoked salmon was a little strong.
It was very strong.
But once you put the sesame dressing on it, it was really good.
I don't like dressing.
And so I stole her. She offered to me. I was like, I don't think so. Once I tasted it, and then I put the dressing on, I was like, I'll take it.
So, roll, pretty standard. And
Was that the croissant or was that breakfast?
that was the breakfast. But it also came with mango ice cream. I'm not normally a mango fan, but it was mango sorbet. And it was delicious.
Very Hawaiian felt.
Yeah, it felt that was more Hawaiian than anything they served to us on the flight to Hawaii last year. One thing of note with the dinner is it came with a wine glass, and they never offered us any drink to go with dinner.
Oh, they did. They came into drinks first, but we didn't realize dinner was coming right away.
So we
Just drank
ordered
our
a
drinks.
drink.
Yeah.
So once that finished, put on some movies. I at first put on Spencer, and then I realized I want to fall asleep, so I want to put on something else. So I made it like 15 minutes into Spencer.
Was it good?
It was okay. I mean, I would have fallen asleep, but I would have been annoyed at where I fell asleep. So then I just turned on the first Harry Potter because I was thinking, oh, we're going to go to Leadenhall Market, which we're doing today.
I forgot how long the first Harry Potter was. I passed out and was out for a long time, and I woke up and it's like, how is this still on? They're not even at the part where they quarrel or anything. And then I woke up again and like, it's done, right? Like the quarrel part had done, and like they're still doing things. I was like, I forgot how long this movie was. And at the end, it's like, now Hagrid's waving. Okay, it's now over. Wake up 5 minutes later, it's still going on. I was like, I forgot how long this movie was. It just would not end. I think they felt that maybe there won't be a second one, so we got really bookend it.
No, I fell asleep literally when Hagrid was announcing that Harry was a wizard on the Rock of the Sea.
I remember
And
that
then I
one.
woke up when Harry was in the hospital after he had melted Quirrell. So I missed most of that.
I didn't wake up for that one. I woke up for the part where, he was making breakfast, and Mr. Dursley was very upset with him.
So very beginning of the movie.
Yeah, I fell asleep with that part, and then woke up like, okay.
So then I was like, okay, I want to watch something else that'll make me fall asleep. So then I turned on Lord of the Rings, and I was like, bad choice. I'm going to want to watch this. So I turned that off.
I couldn't find a movie that I wanted to do that with. I ended up putting on Last Crusade.
No, you watch Ghostbusters.
Oh, so I actually watched a movie. So I didn't want to fall asleep at first because I was waiting for dinner.
Yeah.
And so I put on Ghostbusters Afterlife. Fantastic. I really enjoyed it. It was a fun romp. And the granddaughter of Egan or whatever is like, she pulls that movie so hard. She just does so much service for that movie. It was a fun romp with Paul Rudd and everything, but like, I thought she did really well in the role. She was very likable. She wasn't too overly like
Kid actory.
or
He
quirky.
hates like super like, I don't know. We slept again after we ate dinner.
Oh, I put on Last Crusade and tried to fall asleep to that.
I put on Calming Fireplace, which I did fall asleep for a little bit, and then I was like, oh, I'll just do music. And
I slept through the part where she switched from Lord of the Rings to Calming Fireplace. So I woke up and I was like, oh, it's the scene where he throws the ring into the fire. I was like, okay. And then I was like, they're really focusing on that fire for a long time. Wow, this must be the extended edition. Then I realized, oh, it's the fireplace.
So we grabbed down the blankets, went to sleep, woke
Oh,
up to
I
breakfast.
grabbed the blanket for her. And
I
then-
asked him to grab my blanket, and I was like, you should get the blankets down, so he just gets mine down. And
'Cause I was
normally
too
he's the
warm.
blankie sleeper.
I have to have a sheet or something to sleep. And then I was like, I looked at her and I was like, I have to have a sheet. It helped a lot.
It did help a lot.
They had that flight a little cooler than normal.
Which
so
is
it was
nice.
Yeah. We've been on some warm ones recently.
So, fell asleep, woke up to them offering breakfast, which was avocado toast or...
Not avocado toast, it was avocado.
It was eggy avocado and a, like, peach omelet. When we got both so that we could try some of each.
And then some slice of peach. or apricot with a like warm apricot because they warmed the whole plate together, so it was like warm apricot, which I like. So
Breakfast was good. I liked the more savory one, which was mine.
the granola was really good.
Yeah. Granola.
They had very thin slices of apple. It was nice texture.
Yeah.
Really nice.
And then once breakfast was over, we were pretty much ready to land.
Yeah.
Coming into Heathrow.
Yes, it was straight in.
Oh, there was the most beautiful vista where he dove over central London with
He did
the
a nice
side down
swipe,
that
yeah.
we were, so you could see everything, and it was just like the perfect way to start a trip to London. So you could see the London Eye. We saw Big Ben. We saw Tower Bridge. Everything was so small.
I didn't get very good shots of it on the camera, but she got it probably on the
On the wide angle, you're not going to be able to tell because it's a time lapse.
you can put the arrows.
So that was lovely. We landed at Heathrow. Border control was fine. I was able to use the E-gate really fast. It didn't scan his face, right?
Yeah, it kept saying face not recognized or not being able to detect my face. The card was fine. It's scanning it as soon as I took off our little booklet on it. And so they had to go over. And the woman's like, how long you staying? And I'm like, 9 days? Which is not.
Yeah.
It was 9 days? I don't remember. She's like, okay.
But it took like 30 seconds.
She didn't even stamp it. She just looked at me and it's like, alright.
Then we went over to the luggage carousel, which was
came out quick.
something that I've been very worried about because of everything on the news.
But the thing is, the baggage had made it with us to Heathrow, so that was nice.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed the AirTags. They have been great for anxiety.
Except for United says they can't look at them.
Yeah.
She's like, I can't look at that. And I think it's just because...
It's a liability thing because it's not through their system.
Also, I'm sure if Apple catches wind that they're utilizing, they're going to be like, hey,
they're not.
we would like some money.
I don't think that's the thing. So we caught our luggage, went down to take the Heathrow Express.
We went to use the restroom after we got the luggage, and the restroom was in between these like wall-to-wall like forgotten luggage, and it smelled so bad. And I was sitting there like, man, why does it smell so bad? And I realized there's rotting food in that luggage. It was.
I still don't know if it was that. I think it could have been a bathroom ventilation thing.
No, it smelled like rot. Like it was rotting. Unless someone had them really bad in the bathroom, but it was rotting. Like it smelled like rotten.
It did smell pretty bad.
Like meat.
So anyway, after that, we went down and took the Heathrow Express.
That was fun. It was a lot longer walk than I thought it was.
Yeah, I didn't realize quite how far the train station was from the terminal, but I will say that Heathrow Express has it all over taking the bus to Victoria Station.
And then once we got on, loading our bags was a little fun because they had like the cars are like two groups of like 8 on each side, and then they have like a thing where you put your luggage in. But like I had to wait for everyone to load their own luggage, and it's like, have they ever loaded their luggage before? Because it took forever.
But the ride itself was
so smooth. It was
so fast.
Buttery smooth.
It was fun seeing all the trains go by, and we were just like
hauling it. And he's like, at one point, I felt like we're pretty far from London. She's like, no, we got to be there in 5 minutes, and we were there in like 5 minutes. It was like all of a sudden you're in London. Like here's.
Yeah, I'm never taking that bus again.
Yeah, can't get my nap in, but.
Yeah, he always naps during that bus ride. So we arrived at Paddington, transferred trains.
It's not an easy transfer to get off the bus. I'm sure they have step free maybe to get to the underground, but where we went, it was not step free. We had to go up.
It wasn't the most enjoyable thing, and also the Circle Line is closed this weekend, which sucks. So
TfL hasn't announced why either.
Yeah, it's super annoying. But the not being able to take the direct train meant that we had to transfer our luggage 3 times, which wasn't great, but it was doable. We did it. I think we ended up at the hotel right around 7:45, 8 o'clock.
It was real early.
And we dropped off the luggage, switched into shorts because it was already hot.
Yeah, we asked the guy, and he's like, oh yeah, don't go to we've got a bigger bathroom up here, so he gave us a key so we could use a big bathroom to change pants. That was nice. It was like, all of a sudden, it was like, wow, it's so much cooler out here without jeans on.
Yeah. But, so the very first thing we did in London after dropping off the bags was go to the little waitress across the street and get some Lucozade.
Wow, I forgot that stuff.
So good. I love Lucozade so much.
Fresh Lucozade is so much better than like
mailed,
almost expired or slightly expired Lucozade. Like it is just, I think once it gets warm, it's not as good.
Well, yeah, it's a cold drink.
Mine meant like warm and then cold again.
So we went to the little waitress, got that, And then the adventures began.
We were looking for nail file the whole time. We couldn't find one.
Yeah, I broke one of my nails when we. I don't even have like fancy nails. These are just my normal nails.
Yeah, but they are. We need to drink more milk.
So what did we do after Little Waitress?
We went.
We got on the tube. No, we took a bus to the tube to go to Portobello Road.
Yeah, and that one, I don't know why the first time we came here, when we went to Portobello Road, we
went to Notting Hill Gate. I don't recommend going to Notting
that
Hill
is
Gate.
so far from actual.
I mean, you get to walk through the neighborhood and it's really cute.
But
Ladbroke Grove
it's
is the way to go.
Yeah, it starts you at like the top of the hill, and I mean technically it's maybe for your first time it's nicer because you get that introduction of here is the storefronts that have all the like the older
Antiques.
storefronts that have the antiques,
All
and
the
then
restaurants.
and then you come down and then all of a sudden you got the vendors who are in the street, and then you would have the vendor malls inside the buildings on the side, and then you would get like places where you might
Then you get to
find
the food
actual
market
antiquities
and then you
and
get to the
clothing
clothing portion.
parts and stuff. So that might be a better introduction for your first time. But if you're just going to go, like the
Ladbroke Grove all the way.
yeah, it's like 2 blocks in, and you enter like halfway between the market, and you're like, this is nice.
The only thing about Ladbroke Grove is that it is in Zone 2. I don't know how much more it was.
It was like 30p more or something. It was not
something
very much.
stupid for it being so much more convenient. Ladbroke Grove, use that. Don't use
It's
Notting
smaller.
Hill Gate.
It's a smaller term one too.
Yeah.
And a lot of the not touristy people use Ladbroke Grove because we were waiting for when we left, we were waiting for the tube, and like the one that came in dropped off probably 300 people.
Yeah.
And it was, I would imagine if you lived outside, like lower than Zone 2, it's cheaper to go to Ladbroke Grove and then walk over. And there was so many people getting off right at noon when we left. But
So while we were there, though,
yeah.
so the very first thing that we did, we just walked around.
Yeah, it was too early. We walked kind of by the food stuff, but he was still setting up because we wanted halloumi fries. And it's the same guy as last time, too.
Yeah.
And so we went and we walked.
We went in some different antique stalls.
We try not to go into like the vendor malls too much because Haley was worried about the
COVID.
But we were really early.
At the first, there were less people on the indoor portions.
Yeah.
But
and
as we
outside.
started walking down, it got busier and busier.
You met the wave of people as we went further up. More people were coming that way.
So we got some Jubilee merch. I got a little solar-powered dancing queen.
Young and sweet.
Only 93 something.
Yeah.
And then we got our actual antiques, well, vintage. We got a map. Yeah, that's an antique. We got.
Yeah, that's 18 something.
Yeah, we got an antique print, and then.
What he does is he goes and he buys.
No, you're talking about the book guy.
No, I'm talking about this guy.
Oh.
He buys up old collections that people are like from estate sales and stuff. And they're
beautiful prints. There's maps. There's anatomical designs.
And it's all stuff that really doesn't have much scientific usefulness because it's like someone's lab notes from the 1800s. Yeah, you can tell it's someone's geometry homework, but it's
beautiful.
1800s geometry homework where they did it by hand. Everything is notated. It's gorgeous stuff. And it's like tons of archaeology and architecture, like where they did like someone had to study. It felt like someone's homework. It really did because they had to like
the
it was like
stuff,
a study of like a pillar or something. So it had like the measurements and like it at different angles. It was a really cool drawing.
So we got a print of the ancient wall, the Roman wall.
There was two really nice archaeological ones. The other one was crumbling though.
Yeah.
It was too old.
It was beautiful.
And it would have been nice, but it just. So we went with this one.
Then we went to the next vendor, which he cuts out images from classic books.
Which is just
and prints?
classic books, but.
I don't think. The thing is that most of those classic books, you're not going to be able to use a lot of those pages due to damage. So we got a print from Winnie the Pooh, a Paddington print, and an Alice in Wonderland print.
You can argue that more people are enjoying it this way than would have with just a straight book.
True. Once we bought that, we went back. Oh! On our way down, we tried our first sausage roll.
Oh, from Greg's, yeah.
Which was surprisingly tasty.
The sausage is well done. I've heard other people say that too, but...
I went in with very low expectations.
Yeah, the sausage has a lot of flavor to it. It's not overpowering though, and then the crust is flaky. the crust would be a little nicer, but it was mostly just
I
like
thought the crust was great. I thought all of it was great.
I mean, it was.
We will get
wonderful.
another sausage roll while we are here.
Maybe I got spoiled by Haley's the other day.
Yeah, those were good. Trying to get us excited, I made some sausage rolls at home. Their sausage is better here.
The meat's better, but yours was better dough.
Frozen puff pastry for the win. So then we got our halloumi fries, which we got with the chili sauce. I said light, he still covered it.
Yeah, he was. We watched him put. What was he put on the last one?
The pink mayo.
Pink
the
mayo.
garlic mayo.
But he was like running out,
And it was like,
and he was like. And I was like, oh my god, dude! We're like that person probably wants some halloumi fries with that mayo. And so when he got ready for us, he's like, easy please.
because I like sweet chili sauce, and I'm so glad that we did it, because the first ones that we got, the first few fries were a little bit on the drier side.
Yeah, because
But
they're a
then the
little more
rest of them
fried.
just had the perfect, like, lightly crispy texture on the outside. It was
He
lovely.
gave us little sticks to eat them, so we turn them into kebabs.
Yeah, that was a good idea. So afterwards, we got back on the tube, and then we got out at Waterloo thinking that there would be a Vodafone nearby. There wasn't. So then we got on another bus to take us up to where we did find Vodafone. I went in Marks and Spencer's while Phil went
Yeah,
to
she's like,
Vodafone.
oh, let's get some water, because right now we are so hot.
Yeah, it was in the
market
90s.
And we're thirsty. And she's like, oh, I'll run into this Marks and Spencer's.
Well, you go to Vodafone.
Yeah, she can like see the Vodafone. She's like, walk over there, I'm going to get some waters. And I was like, okay. I walk over there, and it says, this location is closed. Find us at our nearest location. And I had downloaded the Google Maps, so I was able to look up the address. And I looked at it, and I was like, turn around, it's across the street. And I'm like, okay, well, it's a little bit further down. It's probably 200 feet down the street. And it was over, but so I was like, okay. So I just walked across the street and went there. I didn't think anything of it. I thought Haley would do the same thought process when Haley came out. She
Stop.
would see that it was closed and say, oh. She'd look at the address and see that, oh, it's so close. She'd walk across the street or turn around and see it because you could see it across the street. But
I didn't.
Yeah.
I came out of Marks and Spencer with my bag of waters and other drinks, and I just kind of stood there and I was like, oh no. And I walked over to the Vodafone and saw it was closed, and I was like, first rule of when you're lost, stay put. So I just stood in
it would
front
have
of
been
the
helpful.
Marks and Spencer.
But the Vodafone guy took forever.
Yeah.
And so I didn't feel like it was doing that much stuff either. I just whatever. But it took forever. And so by the time I got out, it'd been 20 minutes or 25 minutes.
And I had just run in for water, so I was just
She was-
sitting there
she'd been
being
done
lost
forever.
and being worried.
And she just sat there like messaging me, and I didn't have data yet. And so I was just, yeah, so she thought I wandered off and she lost me forever.
But then I found him.
And they walk out and I could see her. Did you see me across the street? Or
Well,
did
I had sent you a
work?
Facebook message because
You were
I
across
figured
the
that was data. No, I saw you. I crossed the street first because I remembered, wait a second, the Vodafone location, when we looked it up on Google Maps, said it was across the street. So I figured I'd walk across the street and see if I could see you, and I saw you.
Yeah, it was really good timing. She walked across the street.
And then we waited at Vodafone again to try and see if we could get calls and texting turned on because they
because-
told them that it could.
Yeah, when I first got it, the last time I was here, I was like, hey, I'm going to be calling states stuff from the United States. Is that going to be a problem? Do I have to buy an extra package with it? And the guy's like, no, it's unlimited calls and texts. I was like, sweet.
We never got it to work though.
It never worked. But the thing was, last time it didn't work with phone numbers here. I tried it and it didn't work with the phone number here this time.
Oh.
But
So then we waited another 20 minutes for a different Vodafone guy. And then he said, calls and texts don't work. Download WhatsApp.
yeah, I was like, thanks, dude. I'm not going to download WhatsApp. I'm not 12 years old.
Lots of people use WhatsApp. We're just
And
using
Facebook.
Facebook like we're 85.
Yeah.
So then afterwards,
Well, I already have it downloaded. I don't have to download anything else.
we walked back by St. Paul's. Then we walked over, we went down a bunch of little alleys. We found a church that was lovely and didn't mind if we took photos.
Yeah, it was open. It said, come on in. And so we went in, and there's a volunteer sitting there. And he's like, you want some information? I got some information.
Which was good because the information told us how important it was. Then we walked
That
across.
is a good way to do it. If you're going to, and it was short, sweet, straight to the point, not faffing about, and like, our congregation loves you to visit. And all. You know, it was
Yeah,
just
just
like,
enjoy
this
this
is
beautiful
important
church.
because of this. And it was
Yeah.
like, sweet. And so we took photos. It's interesting is they had food signs everywhere that said,
No food except for from our burrito place that's in the back.
well, it said, except for 3 restaurants. One was a burrito place, one was the cafe. The cafe was right there. The burrito
Yeah.
place was
Around the corner.
it was in the same
We should have
church
gotten a burrito
complex.
and eaten there. That would have been fun.
But, and then I think the other one was like across the street and they probably had like a agreement with
Agreement.
them. But yeah, you're allowed to like get food from there and then go eat it in the church at the pews. And then it was like there was another sign
Super fun.
at the very end that said, "Okay, now you can't take any food past this point because people are praying at this point. Otherwise, you're good to eat anywhere in this place." I was like, that's a really good approach because you have the respectful part and it needs more seating for food. So,
Well, it's also with how hot it is too.
oh, that church was nice and cool too.
Yeah.
Like,
So afterwards, we
temperance.
walked across the Millennium Bridge. We walked the wrong way.
Walked from
If
St.
you're
Paul's.
taking the Millennium Bridge,
For the
walk
first time- for the first time.
from the South Bank over to
Yeah.
St. Paul's.
Yeah, leave the Modern Art Museum and go to St. Paul's
Yeah.
because then it's beautiful and you're slowly coming upon this massive St. Paul's and you really get the feel of how big it is. However, we walked our way and we never turned around. So we got to the end, and because at the end you have to turn around to come in to go down the stairs, and you turn around and it's like, oh, we missed that.
Yeah.
But it was nice. We saw one of the painted gum.
Mhm.
Um,
So afterwards, I was feeling super sunburned at this point, so we figured we'd chance it and go to the hotel and see if our room was ready, which thankfully it was.
well, we walked all the way from.
We were only, by that time it was like 2 o'clock and check-in was at 3. We checked into the hotel, we ordered fries down at the bar because we needed the salt.
Yeah, we had only water today, so we're like, okay, we need some more electrolytes. So, and they sounded so good.
And
like,
they
were
brought the
fun.
fries up to us, which was lovely,
Yeah, it's-
with a healthy amount of ketchup too.
yeah, we had ordered 2 orders, so
Yeah.
that was like an appropriate amount.
It was nice. So we ate the fries, took showers, started feeling human again, took some short naps.
Yeah, it was nice. She napped. I showered. I came out. Oh no, she
I
showered
know.
first, and then I came in, and then when I came out, she was napping, and then I fell asleep. And then we napped till 4:30, 5.
Yeah, right around 5.
And then by the time I kept passing, falling back asleep. I could not get up. I was so gone.
So the
Couldn't get
show's
to-
at 7:30. Oh, when we were at Ladbroke Grove, we started checking out show tickets on Today Tix to
Yeah,
see if we could get some
we were
last
just
minute show
on the
tickets.
Tube waiting. It was like when we're leaving or going.
Well, leaving.
Leaving, and she was like, just looking through all the show tickets for. And,
We hadn't bought any tickets for that night because we weren't sure how awake we would be.
or how the flight would go because everything was been so delayed.
Yeah.
So if we came in super late, we wouldn't miss the show we bought.
So I went on the Today Tix app. I tried for Lion King. I tried for Mamma Mia. I tried for Witness for the Prosecution. I tried for all different shows, and all of them didn't have any availability. And then I tried for the Tina Turner musical because I
Tina.
like Proud Mary.
Just Tina.
Yeah, it's called Tina, and I got 2 tickets.
It was
And-
£50 for both.
Yeah, it was £25 each, £50 total
And it was no,
for 7:30.
It was in row X. It was so far out.
And it had been listed under, we have air conditioning. So we walked down to Waterloo, crossed Waterloo Bridge.
And we were hungry. We're like, and he was like, we get on the north side. Weston's gonna have food.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. And so we go across the bridge. We go past the building where John
Legend was
I was
playing.
gonna say John Young, my coworker.
After fun. I mean, he was British.
John Legend is playing. There's a big line, and then there's food everywhere. There's tons of restaurants, and I was like, "Oh, that's a good idea, Haley." And so we turn right, and we're like, we see a sign for an Indian place, and Haley's like, "You want to do?" Well, first was pizza, and I was like, "Ah." And then Indian. We're like, "Okay." We walk through the door, and Haley has this thing: is when she's committed, and we walk through, and they
Are
have,
so much fancier than I thought it was gonna be.
Yeah, it was definitely a little more upscale. And there's a couple already eating in there, and we're like, okay.
It was also super hot, so we got ours to go.
It was nice and cool. It was decently cool in there.
I thought it was roasting.
In there?
Yeah.
Yeah, we got some water while we waited, and then we're like, oh yeah, we can get some bottled water to go. And he's like, yeah. And like, man, that really was expensive.
I was trying to figure out why, because we had ordered 2 sampler platters. One was 9 pounds, one was 8 pounds, and a mushroom rice, which was 5 pounds. And I was like, something's not adding up. And then once I saw the glass water bottles that were massive,
We
it
got
made a little
some
bit more
stuff.
sense.
They were like, it was huge, and like,
We also got naan, but he forgot to charge us in the initial, so it was even more expensive.
yeah.
But I'm glad we got the naan.
I thought he just threw it on there.
I thought so too, but
Yeah.
there were samosas, there was what was basically an onion latke,
That was interesting. It was sweet. They caramelized it till it got sweet. So
Yeah.
it was nice.
but that
The-
mushroom rice
the
was the start of
lamb.
the show.
The lamb was really good too.
The lamb was good, and normally I
It was
don't eat lamb.
spicy. It was like we were eating things afterwards. It's like, is this still from the lamb? This is
Yeah,
so
is
spicy.
this spicy, or is this just because the spice developed after we had eaten it? But it was really good.
Sound like your tongue, just
So,
like
yeah, we just ate on
really
the park
flavorful.
bench.
Yeah, literally, like, and it was far enough away that sometimes we were able to take off the masks
For like 3 seconds and then put it back on.
when someone else wandered around, but it was nice. It was really secluded. This was just really chill, and we drank our bajillion gallon waters and they were
And it was in the shade.
so good water.
So that was nice.
Fantastic water.
Yeah. It was mineral water, but it like had good minerals in it.
Yeah.
So we ate. We were 4 minutes from the theater. We walked into the theater. I asked if we could change seats, and he said, you could probably do it at the interval, just talk to a manager. So once we got in the theater, someone else came over and said, hey, I have tickets for this. And
Yeah, for the same seat.
so we had to show our tickets to the usher, and she was like, oh crap, we double sold them. And we were like, we'll move. We want to move. It's good. And then they moved the other guy.
They moved him closer, but
Yeah.
they moved him to a single seat because it was just a single guy, and I get that.
That's easier.
Yeah, and so they're like, this one's open, and so they set him away.
So the lady sitting directly in front of us, I'm fairly convinced has tuberculosis.
It was like 1 and over, so I had like, but Haley was right there, so
So I could watch her coughing.
she had a neck brace on.
Yeah, but she was coughing up, and when she would take her
When she
Kleenex
first
down,
got there, she put a Kleenex in her mouth, like just straight. Oh.
and when she pulled it out, it was bloody mucus.
I thought she had dental work. I thought maybe she had like a tooth done, and so she's just put it in there to absorb the blood in her mouth.
But you shouldn't be bleeding for that long. It was the entire first act.
Like maybe she was coughing out the blood because there was so much blood because of the tooth dental work.
If you're in that situation, don't go to a show.
But it felt like she was.
But the first act
she had a
was-
touch of the consumption.
Yeah. First act was good. I was telling Phil that it really should be called the Ike Turner is a piece of shit show, because man,
It is all about how terrible Ike Turner is.
But it's also about how Tina had a rough start, and like her mom was shitty too. But her sister believed in her, and different people believed in her, and Ike Turner was a piece of shit.
Random German that believed in her.
No, we didn't meet the German until the second act. So
Yeah, it was rough.
at the interval, which is what they call an intermission, we moved up.
Yeah, I was like, there's a group of
I asked
seats
permission too, because I'm a rule follower.
before intermission. I was like scoping it out because if we moved, and I looked and I was like, there's a group of seats that are further forward and off to the side that are like the whole block is empty.
Yeah, like maybe 15, 20 empty seats. It wasn't even like it was 2 or 3.
So I like memorized the exact location of a couple open ones.
And I asked the guy, and he was like, yeah, we've already done late seating, so if they're still open, feel free. So we moved up, and I really
The late
enjoyed
seating
that.
was interesting too. They were, as soon as they got to the late seating part, which was like right after the intro,
During like an upbeat song, I don't even remember what song it was, but
it was
a
like
flood.
50 people just came on, and I was like, wow, these people all late. They learned their lesson though.
Yeah. So overall, the show was very enjoyable. The second act is a lot lighter than the first act.
The first act really establishes who she is. The second act is more like
Her comeback, and
Oh,
so there were a lot of
Roger, too.
songs in there that weren't by Tina Turner, but she kind of appropriated. You could tell that Tina Turner was like directly involved in this because it was very flattering. But it was fun, and like the ending is just such a big hoot and fun, and they do the Proud Mary revival, and
yeah, they did Proud Mary at first, and it was just like, it was probably like a minute long, and I was like,
And
oh,
then in the
I'm sorry, Haley, this is our favorite song, and it was so shorter than the other Tina songs.
Well, plus Ike Turner beats her up in the middle of it, so
Yeah,
it's
she
not
just
like you
gets,
can
like-
even enjoy it.
Yeah, and this is, well, it's a scene where they actually
Divorce.
divorce. Is that the one?
Yeah.
Because like, is that the one? No, I thought that was the one
No,
she took a bunch of Valium.
No, that was Proud Mary, where they broke up.
Yeah, and like they had jumped and like she had bit him and stuff, and
Like they had blood on her face, so
then there was a really, really touching scene where she's like begging for a hotel room, and it was intense. And so it was just like
that lead
that's-
actress is just
She's got it.
phenomenal.
Yeah,
she
she
carries
got it.
that whole show on her. I mean, the other people are good, and really mad respect for that guy who played Ike Turner, because I hated him.
Joaquin Phoenix.
Yeah, Joaquin Phoenix syndrome. So that was fun. We got out of the show. And then we walked across Waterloo Bridge. We got to see Big Ben
Oh,
at night.
real quick, at the end of the show, it's so funny, in the bathroom, they had a sign that said, "This is not a concert.
Yeah.
Don't
No
dance
singing,
in your
no
seats.
dancing.
Don't sing along." And it was like, okay, they want to be serious. I get that, because in Spokane, they would have been singing along the whole time.
I know.
But they were so respectful. There were scenes where it was just in Spokane, you would have had an awkward laugh at
Yeah.
parts where it was just like dead silent, and literally that lead actress is just towing that show behind her as hard as she can pull it, and it was just like, man, this is so intense, and the audience was so respectful.
Yeah.
And then once you get to the end and you do the reprisal, and it's like a rock show, and you're like, this is good, because she, like, the actress is like, sing along, and, it's
And
just
like clapping, and they clapped in the right time.
oh yeah.
It's so nice.
And there's some people that were doing
They were doing the so there's an usher on the side, and he was my favorite usher. He knew all the choreography. He was doing the choreography.
he wasn't even in there originally. He like came in later
Yeah,
to
I
watch
loved
it.
it. It
He was
was-
doing another position
It
and then
was
came
so
into.
cute.
But there were people clapping not on, because they're not doing the 4 clap. They were doing everything.
They were doing the double time clap, which is much harder.
Or
but they were
doing
nailing it.
They're doing the 1 and 3 clap. The 1
Off
3,
time.
Yeah.
But anyway, the clapping was great. The dancing was great. I've never seen so many happy boomers dancing along to Tina Turner songs before.
There was young people too.
There were a few young people. I would say that was definitely an older crowd, though.
But not a bad older crowd.
No.
Not Spokane older crowd.
Yeah, it was fun though. I enjoyed it.
But at the very end was just, it ends on such a powerful like ending. Like
It's
just
just so joyful at the end.
yeah. And then yeah.
So as we left, we got
Everything released at the same time. So it is.
yeah.
West End is just flush with people. The buses are coming through. They're just like packed with people. We're like,
Well, especially since the Circle Line's out. Oh, my
So
sock. I was trying to fix my sock and it flew.
so we
We got a magnet and a pin.
yeah we walked over to so we're like, we're gonna walk back because everything is just so much people.
Even on the bus, it was like an 11-minute bus ride or a 12-minute walk. But we wanted to get some snacks for the room on the way back. So we hit up a Tesco Express on the way, got some
24-hour one.
sandwiches, got some digestives.
The problem is we're not quite used to shopping in a walkable city, so we
Got 2 gallons of water.
10 liters. Those are 5 liters. Those are bigger than gallons.
I thought they looked slightly bigger than gallons. They're
Yeah.
right below the camera, so that's why we're looking down.
This is bigger than a gallon.
Anyway, so we got the snacks, came back to the room, ate our snacks, and then we went to bed.
The serving suggestion is serve chilled.
Was there anything else notable before we went to bed?
Um,
Besides, it was so
Oh, Google
hot.
Maps like double backed us on a walk back and like
Yeah.
made it 3 more minutes longer, and was like, why?
It was weird.
Like we walked down from the thing towards the river, and then it had us turn on a side street and then go back up past the store and then turn left. It was like, so we're going like these like super like
Sketchy roads.
Not sketchy for,
They were sketchy.
I don't know. And then someone was following us too for a bit of it.
What?
Yeah, and he eventually crossed the street.
Oh, I didn't notice
Yeah,
that.
but I was like, bro, I'm carrying 10 liters of water. You're getting one to the face if you approach me.
Well, I mean, there also was that dude that asked you for a drink of water.
Yeah, that was interesting. We were almost at the hotel room. He's like, hey, can I get some of that? And I was like, sorry, bro. It's like, I just lugged this a quarter mile, or 3/4 of a mile. I was like, it was like half a mile.
Yeah.
But it was like, I just lugged this. My fingers were like dying.
Yeah, our fingers were bad. I took one to try and help. So we got back to the room.
Made
Did
our
you take another
sandwiches.
shower, or no? You took a shower this morning. Yeah, we ate our sandwiches.
Did you take a shower last night?
Yeah,
Yeah, she took a shower. I just laid on the bed and was like,
it was super hot.
Yeah, we had shut up the hotel room, but we should have left the window open slightly for cracked ventilation, because all the heat comes in here and then it don't go anywhere, so we should have a little bit of it.
Yeah. All right. So
It was nice. We ate the sandwich. The sandwich was decent. We drank a bunch of water.
yeah, and then went to sleep around midnight.
Oh, the noise.
Yeah.
I want to touch that before we end this.
So one of the biggest complaints about this hotel, and there aren't many, was a lot of people said that the road noise is difficult. And if you're a light sleeper, I can see that.
They even gave you
Earplugs.
earplugs and like an eye mask. But I was
Because
just
there's
like,
constantly people going around. There's a lot of bars and restaurants around here.
honking at all hours. Like, and then everyone's got to honk back.
Yeah.
And then the police sirens. In a smaller town where we live in, if there's actually a noise ordinance that they can't use the police sirens after a certain time in residential areas. So you'll see them. The cop will come down the main drag, turn
And they'll
off the
still have
sirens,
lights on, but
and then go through this residential, and then they'll pop them back on as soon as they get off the other side. But here, they're just like, sit right here on the corner waiting for traffic with a. It's like.
it didn't bother me. I went to sleep at midnight and I woke up at 4:51.
I'm saying that what the sounds are, but we went hard. We'd been up, more or less up since Thursday.
Yeah.
And like my watch towards the end of it was like, hey, you have 15%
Are
left.
you okay?
I was like, wait a second, why is my watch at 15%? And then I realized I literally put it on Thursday morning and never took it off or never.
Yeah.
So
we slept really well, and now we're gonna go have fun. So recap of first chunk, we're gonna do dailies from now on, but it didn't really make sense to separate Thursday from Friday from Saturday.
because it's all flowed into each other.
Yeah.
Yeah. Biggest thing is if you stay at a hotel like this, get really sleepy. Like work your butt off, and then you come back, you won't even notice the sound because you will be tired.
Yeah. So we have a fun day ahead of us. We'll tell you all about it.